welcome to another episode of Freight Master Resources. It is Wednesday the 14th. Man, I still can't believe, I know I said that in the last video, I still can't believe we're like halfway through September already, right? It's going way too fast. So first thing out to get, you guys may have noticed a little bit of a different layout from the previous videos. I have changed software that I'm using, and never mind my corded headphones. Okay, I don't know. I had some little bit of an issue with my wireless, so I do apologize for that. But and I am still trying to get a few things set up, but for the most part, we are up and running. Okay, and this just is going to make things a lot easier on me, which hopefully improves the videos for you. Okay. So, without any further ado, as the title of the video says, you know, how to get more freight shippers without so much cold calling. Okay, so you're probably thinking, well, you know, that's primarily what you talk about. Well, it is, and it's kind of like what I like to call the run and gun, you know, technique, you know, as far as cold calling goes, because you know, especially when you're first starting out, you're trying to knock out as many phone calls as possible, right? You know, at least 100 a day, you know, calling up shippers. Hey, do you keep your options open? You know, however you're approaching your cold calls, right? And we've mentioned some of that on how to approach cold calls in the past. But before I forget, guys, I can now reply to your questions in real time, which is something I couldn't do before. Not to backtrack or anything here, but so there. Now I can say hello to you guys. I can reply back. So hopefully, if you guys have any questions while I'm doing this video or any future videos, you know, I'll be able to, like I said, reply to you in real time. So moving on, run and gun technique, knocking out as many phone calls as possible. You know, hopefully trying to get a yes, and then it's a matter of, you know, sending over your packets and getting your credit apps back, getting all of that processed. You know, maybe they're asking you for RFQs, da 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 da. Anywho, I have done previous video before on utilizing LinkedIn to find freight shippers, right? Or finding the name of the freight shipper, you know, the person in charge that you want to talk to. What I want to talk to you about today with LinkedIn is warming those prospects up via LinkedIn before you send them an email or make that phone call. Okay. And I don't mean just running around like a circus clown and just, you know, connect to as many of them as you can, you know, with the little generic um, pretext that they kind of give you in there. So what we really want to do is be creative, be unique with our connection requests and getting them connected. You know, follow that up, you know, with a hey, thank you for connecting, da 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 da. You know, but don't make it too salesy in the beginning, right? You want to be very genuine with those follow-up messages through LinkedIn. So like I said, don't get too salesy, and you know, then hopefully you'll get a reply back from them, at which point in time you're going to want to maybe ask for their email, their phone number, okay, and reach out to them, you know, kind of after the fact, after you've kind of warmed that prospect up through LinkedIn. Now, I should backtrack a little bit, and I apologize. I have had way too much caffeine today, so I apologize if I jump around a little bit here. Um, One thing you're going to want to do is obviously you need a LinkedIn profile, but make sure that your profile is complete professional looking, because I guarantee you before they accept your connection request, they are going to look at it. So if there's anything on there that shouldn't be on there, you don't want on there anymore, that kind of thing, um, get rid of it. Maybe fill that area with something a little bit more update. Um, but yeah, um, go about it that way. So moving on, you get the prospects phone number, their email, and then you call over there to them, and you can call and ask for that person's name directly, and odds are you'll probably circumnavigate the gatekeeper, right? That evil gatekeeper, always trying to keep us away, right? uh, but yeah, we want to get around them, and just say the person that you're trying to reach is Bob, Jones. So you ask for Bob Jones. Odds are you're probably going to get through. Um, if you're not, because I believe it's still, even if you send out an email, I still believe it's a good idea to make a phone call to that LinkedIn prospect that you have, just for the simple fact that voice to voice, that sort of more of a personal introduction than email. Obviously, it's not a face to face, but if, let's just say, you're in North Carolina and you're prospecting a customer in California, you can't keep running back and forth across the country, with flights to make that face to face. So make that phone call. Have a little bit of a conversation with them, get personal with it, and it makes that call so much easier than it does with a cold call, because some people especially are just they hate cold calling. They get nervous, they're afraid of what to say, or afraid of screwing up. Freight shippers are people just like you and I, like I've mentioned before. you know they're nobody to be held on high, and for us to really bow down to. They're really, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else. So just treat them like you would, like, someone maybe you bumped into at Walmart or something, or your neighbor or something. um, just be casual with it, to some extent. Obviously be professional, but maybe try to find out, throughout that conversation, what kind of hobbies they might have, if they have a favorite sports team, things like that, something that you might be able to relate to with them. Okay, that also helps. um, because you have to remember, like I've said before, a lot of these shippers, they get 100, 200 phone calls a day, numerous emails. They're bombarded. So we need to take a bit of a different tactic to win that prospective shipper over. Okay. And I know that versus the run and gun technique that I kind of talk about before, with just making massive phone calls, this is a little bit more time consuming, right? To some extent, but at the same time, you're you're warming that prospect up prior to that initial phone call and email. So it makes, I think you increase your odds of actually landing, turning that prospect into a customer, versus, like I said, the whole run and gun technique. So um, so guys, give that a shot. you know Start doing some connection on LinkedIn. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's sort of like the Facebook for business professionals. you know and don't forget, I mean, reach out to the coordinator, the high up VP of logistics, if they've got one. Reach out to them, but don't forget to maybe CC or reach out and build a relationship with you know the people under them, the logistics coordinators, or logistics dispatch, or whatever their title might be. Um, you know, do that, because odds are you may end up talking to them more than the actual person that makes that decision, right? And when you make that phone call and send that email, make sure you're following up. And I don't mean once a month. If you forget, okay, but and by all means, you should not be forgetting, because if you remember from previous videos, we use HubSpot, right? That's our CRM, because it's what? Free. Free is anything free is worth saving up for, right? So we use that free CRM. It sends us a reminder. We do email tracking through our Gmail and everything. So I don't get paid from HubSpot for anything like that. Of course, maybe they should, right? For promoting them as much as I have over the years. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, I love HubSpot. And like I said, it'll send you those reminders to to do your follow-ups with those customers. Okay, after you've got all of that done. So because sometimes, well, not sometimes, most of the time, when you send over your packet and your credit application, that credit application is not filled out more than likely by the transportation department. That goes to like somebody over in accounting or something, and they're busy with accounts payables and receivables and payroll and taxes and all of that fun, happy stuff, which would drive me absolutely bonkers because I hate doing it. Um, but anyway, so your credit application to them more or less ends up at the bottom of the list. But if you keep calling, keep emailing, sending follow-up emails and things like that to that prospect after they've said yes and you've sent over your paperwork, eventually what happens is they'll say, hold on, let me get a hold of accounting and see if they can't hot foot that for me and get that over to you, within the next hour. I've had those email replies from them. But if you're just not following up or following up very rarely, odds are they probably forgot about you already by now. So those follow-ups are just as important as those initial phone calls, those messages on LinkedIn, if not more so in some cases, right? Because you had them and then you let them go. And if you like to fish, when you lose a big fish, there's nothing worse in the world that breaks your heart, or at least it does mine. So don't let your prospect fall through the cracks because you forgot to do a follow-up. Okay. Guys, for some of you that have just started to join us, if you have any questions on anything that I've mentioned, by all means, I have the chat open. Feel free in fact, I'll go ahead and type out another hello here real quick. So I've changed over my software, as you may have noticed if you're a returning viewer. So you notice a little bit of a different layout and everything. I still have a few little things to tweak, but this allows me to be a little bit more interactive with you and answer your questions. Whereas in the past, I wasn't able to do that. And it was kind of frustrating because there were times some of you were asking me questions and I wasn't always getting them. And I wasn't able to reply, and then I had to reply down in the comments after the fact. And so this way I can do that. So if you guys give me a thumbs up or a howdy do, you guys can hear me okay, that would be awesome right now. So, and if you, like I said, if you guys have any questions, by all means, let me know. If I didn't cover something enough in detail, I'll be more than happy to answer that for you. Again, I apologize for the corded headphones. I'm having a little bit of an issue with my wireless, but I wanted to go ahead and do this video. Guys, you're maybe thinking up of a question or something, or just want to say hello. Don't forget, we've got Freight Broker Resources on there, freightbrokerresources.com. There's some information on sales broker pitch. There's news, load boards. You get your 30 days free. So what equipment commodity was the easiest for you when prospecting? Well, I could say that not to give too much of a history lesson here or anything, but when I first started out, I had no idea what I was doing, right? I didn't have a mentor or anything initially going into it. So I was more or less just sort of like shotgunning everything. I was just scattering calls to every type of shipper out there possible. And I'm sure more often than not, I came across as a new guy on the block and everything. But I would say probably where you're going to probably have the most success starting out is in dry van freight. Those shippers that are shipping dry van type freight. I would probably avoid hazmat, and things like that require additional things, especially if you're brand new. But your general dry van freight, or even some of your open deck freight, like lumber, plywood, shingles, bricks, things like that. Some of your general open deck commodities, those I would say are probably your easiest customers to get into. Lumber, especially because lumber customers are always looking for additional carriers and brokers. Not more often than not, they usually end up with a very high line of credit, and they always pay their bill, always, and they're almost never late. They're just religious about paying their bills on time. So if I was brand new, those would be the types of customers that I would prospect. Ruth Jones says hello. Hi, Ruth. Appreciate you guys jumping on and watching and asking questions and everything here. Guys, if you missed the first part of this video, I do apologize. I have a little countdown timer now, so it gives us like a 30-second window before I actually jump into things now. So if you're a subscriber, you've hit that bell notification, and you get that alert that I've gone online and I'm doing a live video, then that at least gives us a little bit. Oh, and hello. But yeah, I've got a few new things going on here. You guys, hey, let me know what you think of the new layout. Are you guys liking this at all, or maybe not so much? And someone asked me a while back, and this is another reason why I switched software, because somebody had asked me to have more sounds in the video, probably the little dings and things like that, little bells and whistles. So there's a little rock and roll music for you, so I'll try to incorporate more of that. I still have plenty of audio files and things like that that I want to upload into this, but I just kind of wanted to do a test video here and talk about utilizing LinkedIn in a way to turn your prospects into warm prospects before you even make a phone call or send out an email to them. So and it seems to work. And while you maybe cover a little bit less ground using what I discussed in the beginning part of the video, it makes that initial call and that initial email, when you get to that point with them, so much easier, and you're more apt to get a yes than a no. It probably increases your odds, I think. Well, I forget the exact number, and I should have wrote it down, but I think it's nearly 80% more success. So basically, it's sort of like a quality over quantity kind of a thing. So, and while both have worked for me in the past, I've done the whole, make as many phone calls in a day as I can. And one thing I do is I avoid reading from a script, because it sounds like you're reading from a script. I avoid getting too lengthy and kind of overtaking the conversation from the customer or prospect, because I've listened in on phone calls, like I said in previous videos, and the person has gone on for 10 minutes about how everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows if they just give them a chance and everything, only to find out that the shipper that they're prospecting, all of their freight is FOB, or they very rarely ship out anything, or just get a flat out no, because like I said, they get 100, 200 calls a day, emails, etc., and it gets a bit Robert says, is the fruit and veggie niche oversaturated or hard to get into? If you're not familiar with produce, it can be. One thing that I would do before I started to reach out to those types of customers is, okay, let's say, and a lot of that's starting to end for the season, but not all of it. Like right now, we're shipping pumpkins, for instance, but that won't last much longer. But one thing that does ship year round is your root vegetables. So carrots, potatoes, things like that, right? So focus on those shippers that are shipping on that, and then how can you use vented vans and not just little louvered vans? They have to have the big pop out produce vents right front and back because it has to have that air circulation. If it needs to go on a reefer, find out what the temp is for shipping potatoes and carrots, watermelon, corn, all of that kind of stuff. And as you gain that experience and that knowledge, now shipping some of those fall and winter commodities, when corn starts to ship, watermelons, things like that. And obviously some of that still ships throughout the year, just maybe not to the extent that it does during the spring and summer months. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's oversaturated. I have had a couple of customers that have actually gone out and got their own broker authority. So they no longer, upper management said, we don't need our brokers anymore. And there was myself and a couple of other ones, which was really kind of sad because we had such a really great relationship. And I moved a lot of freight for one customer in particular. I mean, multiple loads per day. I mean, it was crazy stupid the amount of freight that we were moving. But that's not to say that you can't get in it. And there's distributors out there as well. Like there's stuff that comes across the border from Mexico, gets shipped into the border towns there in Texas. And basically a lot of that will get broken down and sometimes mixed into like mixed shipments. So you might have, onions and beets and whatever, all kind of mixed and going off to Walmart or Kroger or wherever. So it just kind of depends. But no, I wouldn't say it's hard to get into. Just do your research. And so like when you call, like let's just say it's potatoes, for instance, when on the phone with them and you're starting to kind of build that first little bit of rapport with them, just say, so you're shipping your potatoes at 37 degrees or, whatever it is. I forget actually off the top of my head, but it's something like that, 40 degrees maybe. But that will basically, what you're doing is you're telling them that you have knowledge in shipping potatoes, right? Because you know that temp. And even if you're off by a degree or 2 or 3, even just say, oh, okay, well, I'm used to shipping them at 37, but you're at 40. Okay, no problem. I'll make a note of that, and then you might ask, do you ever ship on vented vans? And how long, do you typically, or is it just according to the weather, that kind of thing? Is it bulk or what they call floor loaded? Because sometimes like potatoes and carrots and things like that, they actually just shoot it into the back of the trailer on the truck, and then they'll run it to, wherever, some manufacturer, say Hormel or something, or a soup company or whatever, and they'll put it up on the tipper, and then it just all rolls out into a conveyor. Some drivers don't like to take bulk load versus palletized, just for the simple fact that it does make the inside of their trailer dirty and they have to wash out. And so they're going to want to be, compensated for that washout a lot of times. Some don't mind. They just keep running, bulk load produce. But yeah, excellent question, Robert. I appreciate it. That's not one that I typically get, but great question. Does anybody have any other questions for me before I sign off here? If not, hey, I appreciate you all tuning in. This has been fun. Actually, it's probably one of my more fun videos that I've done in a while, being able to interact with everybody in real time. This is awesome for me, for sure. But oh, we got something here. I try to do them do the videos as often as I can, obviously, because I do work as a broker. There's times I work very, very late and things. In fact, not this coming weekend, but next weekend, I am actually moving. My wife and I are moving into a new home. We're going to be 300 miles north of where we are currently. Luckily, I've been able to recruit my son and his buddies, right? But yeah, I'm going to try to do these as frequently as possible. I really want to make a point of doing them a little bit more regularly, at least once or twice a week. And maybe I can, figure out a way of doing like designated days like Wednesdays and Thursdays, or I mean, Mondays and Thursdays or something along those lines. Fridays is usually a paperwork day for me, especially until at least noon. Maybe Mondays and Fridays I'll do it or something, or Tuesdays and Fridays. I don't know. But I'll try to let you guys know in my next video what I come up with as far as how often, if it's we once a week or twice a week. And like I said, if you guys ever have any suggestions on like a topic that you'd like me to discuss, I just know that like finding freight shippers and that kind of thing is usually like a big topic. I get bombarded with that through email and social media and things like that. So I try to do as many of these as I can, just different ways, techniques on how to find and approach shippers to kind of help you guys out, because I want you all to be successful, right? So you're very welcome, Ruth, and thank you for tuning in. Robert, thank you. Toussaint, okay, awesome. So you probably noticed that I didn't attempt to pronounce it there, but I appreciate the help on that one, for sure, for sure. All right, I'll try to remember that, Toussaint. Okay, and I hope I'm still saying that correctly. But okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up then. And as I always do, be kind to one another. All right, thanks for watching. Bye bye.